throwaway account because my sister occasionally uses Reddit. So I, female, 31, have been in this messed up situation with my older sister Vanessa, female, 36, and I don't even know if I'm in the wrong here. I work as a physical therapist at a rehab center. Been single for about 2 years now, after my ex and I split because he wanted kids right away and I just wasn't ready yet. My sister Vanessa has always been difficult. Growing up, she was definitely my parents' favorite. She could do whatever she wanted, stay out all night, skip school, whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, she's just spirited." Meanwhile, I'd get grounded for coming home 10 minutes after curfew. About 8 years ago, Vanessa got pregnant after dating this guy for like 3 months. He basically disappeared once he found out, and she had my niece, Mia, female, 8, who is the sweetest kid ever, like the complete opposite of her mom. The childcare thing started like 4 years ago when Vanessa asked if I could watch Mia for just a couple hours while she went to a job interview. I was happy to help, but then it became regular. At first it was just occasionally, maybe once every couple weeks. Then it was like every weekend. Now it's 3 to 4 days a week, and Vanessa will text me like an hour before she needs me to take Mia with some emergency, and then show up 5+ hours later than she said she would. I know I should have set boundaries earlier, but I love Mia so much. She gets so excited about the little science experiments we do together. I've been teaching her piano on this old upright I've had since college, and she's actually really good at it. Sometimes I think I'm more of a mother to her than Vanessa is. Over the past year, I've been noticing some really concerning stuff. Like, Mia will show up starving, saying she hasn't eaten since school lunch the day before. Sometimes her clothes smell like they haven't been washed in days. She's mentioned being left alone at the apartment while Vanessa goes out. She's 8, and she talks about mommy's special friends who stay over and make loud noises at night. I've been keeping track of this stuff in the Notes app on my phone. Not in a creepy way, but just in case. So here's where everything blew up. Vanessa lost another job, waiting tables at some sports bar. This is the 3rd job she's lost this year, and now her landlord is threatening to evict her. On Tuesday, she showed up at my apartment completely unannounced with Mia. She told me she was in trouble with her landlord and needed $2,100 for back rent by Friday, or they'd be evicted. I explained I don't just have that kind of money sitting around and suggested she ask our parents. She said they've cut her off and won't help anymore. Then she said I could just move money around or put it on a credit card since I don't have kids to support. When I said no, she completely lost it. She started yelling about how I'm selfish and ungrateful after everything she's done, letting me spend time with her daughter. Like she was doing me a favor all this time by using me for free childcare. She threatened that if I didn't help her with the money, I would never see Mia again. Ever. I still said no, and she grabbed Mia's arm and stormed out. Mia was crying and reaching for me, and I just stood there watching them leave. I haven't heard from either of them since. I know I'm not responsible for my sister's money problems, but maybe I should have just paid it to keep the peace for Mia's sake. My parents have always been more sympathetic to Vanessa because being a single mom is hard, but they don't see what I see. My cousin sent me screenshots yesterday of Vanessa's Instagram stories showing her at clubs and bars 3 nights this week, but she's supposedly broke and can't pay rent. I'm scared she's actually going to follow through and not let me see Mia again. I know she's made empty threats before when she's angry, but this felt different. I don't know what to do. Part of me thinks I should call CPS with the stuff I've documented, but we were always taught that family matters should stay within the family. And if I call CPS, my relationship with Vanessa is over for good. Maybe with my parents too. Has anyone dealt with something like this? Am I being tricked? Should I have just given her the money? I can't stop thinking about Mia and if she's okay. Edit. Some people are asking why I haven't called CPS already. I know how it looks, but it's complicated. These are just isolated incidents spread out over months. And Vanessa does love Mia. She's just really bad at the day-to-day mom stuff. I'm worried about overreacting. For those saying I'm enabling Vanessa, yeah, you're probably right. It's just hard to break the pattern of our entire childhood where I was always expected to be the responsible one who fixed everyone else's problems. A lot of comments are mentioning how I'm actually helping Mia by spending time with her and being a stable influence. That's honestly what's kept me going, knowing that she at least has one adult in her life who shows up consistently. I'm just worried what happens if Vanessa really does cut me off from seeing her. To answer the questions about my parents, they live in Florida now, retired there 2 years ago. so they don't see what's actually happening day to day. They send Vanessa money sometimes, but I think they're finally getting tired of it never being enough. I haven't told them about the concerning stuff with Mia because they always take Vanessa's side. Now for the first update. I called CPS on my sister about my niece, and now all hell has broken loose. I know it's only been a few days since my last post, but so much has happened, and I'm honestly still shaking as I type this. Thank you to everyone who commented, even though a lot of you said things I wasn't ready to hear. I was honestly really resistant to calling CPS like many of you suggested. My mom drilled into us our whole lives that we don't air our dirty laundry outside the family, and I guess that programming runs pretty deep. So after Vanessa stormed out with Mia over the rent money, I didn't hear anything from her for 3 days straight, which was weird because normally she's texting me 3 to 4 times a week asking me to watch Mia. I kept checking my phone thinking I'd missed a call or something. I was getting really worried about Mia, but had no idea where they were staying since Vanessa wasn't answering my texts. Then Friday night around 8 p.m. I finally got a text from her asking if I could watch Mia for just a couple hours while she went to an important meeting. I know, after everything I probably should have said no. But I was so worried about Mia and honestly wanted to check if she was okay. So I said yes. When they showed up at like 8:30, I immediately noticed Mia was wearing the exact same clothes I'd seen her in 3 days earlier. Her hair was all tangled and she smelled like she hadn't bathed in days. The second Vanessa left, Mia asked if she could have something to eat because she said she hadn't eaten since lunch at school. I made her a sandwich and some soup and she literally inhaled it. While Mia was eating, I noticed this angry-looking rash on her arm. When I asked about it, she said it had been there for days and was really itchy. But Mommy said we didn't have time to go to the doctor. I took some pictures of it on my phone and put some hydrocortisone cream on it that I had. I tried to help her with some homework, but found out she hadn't done any of her assignments for the week. When I asked why, she just shrugged and said, "Mommy didn't remind me." The worst part came when we were watching a movie before bed. Mia casually mentioned that she'd been alone in the apartment a lot this week while Mommy went out with friends. She said Vanessa told her not to tell anyone or Mommy would get in trouble. She said she got scared at night, but Vanessa said she was a big girl now and could handle it. I felt sick to my stomach hearing this. She's 8 years old. Midnight came and went, no Vanessa. I called her like 5 times, but everything went straight to voicemail. Mia had fallen asleep on my couch by then, and I didn't want to wake her, so I just covered her with a blanket and let her sleep. By morning, still no Vanessa. I tried calling and texting again. Nothing. Mia and I had breakfast, watched cartoons, and I took her to the park to keep her mind off things. She kept asking when her mom was coming back, and I had no idea what to tell her. Vanessa finally showed up at 3:30 the next afternoon, nearly 19 hours after dropping Mia off. She looked like a complete mess, hair all tangled, same clothes as yesterday, smelling like alcohol and cigarettes. She basically stumbled into my apartment without even knocking. She has a key. When I asked where she'd been, she just said her phone died and she crashed at a friend's after going out. I pointed out that she said she'd be gone for a couple hours, not 19 hours. She just shrugged it off, asking what the big deal was since Mia was fine with me. I told her about Mia's rash and how she hadn't bathed and was starving when she got here. Vanessa got all defensive and said, "I thought I knew everything about parenting and not everyone has their life together like me." When I asked if she'd been leaving Mia alone in the apartment overnight, she got super defensive. She denied it completely, and when I said Mia told me, she called her own daughter a little liar who makes up stories for attention. Mia heard this from the other room and started crying. Vanessa went in and grabbed her by the arm to leave, like really roughly. Mia actually winced and said, "Ow," and I couldn't watch this anymore. I tried to suggest that maybe Mia should stay with me for the weekend until Vanessa was in a better place mentally, but Vanessa just dragged Mia out while saying she was going to deal with her lying later. After they left, I just paced around my apartment for like 3 hours panicking. All I could think about was what dealing with her lying meant and whether Mia was safe. I kept thinking about all of you who commented saying I needed to call CPS. I was terrified that my confrontation had only made things worse for Mia. So I finally did it. I called the non-emergency CPS line and made a report. I gave them all the documentation I'd been keeping, sent the photos of the rash, and told them everything. The being left alone, the not feeding her, everything. I feel like the worst sister in the world, but also, I couldn't live with myself if something happened to Mia and I'd done nothing. I stupidly thought my report would be anonymous, even though I gave them my contact information and explained I was Mia's aunt. Yeah, I know, not my brightest moment. Sunday morning, I woke up to 13 missed calls from Vanessa, starting at like 7 a.m. The timestamps showed she was calling more and more frequently. She left 6 voicemails that got progressively worse. The first one was about why there was a CPS worker at her door asking questions. The middle ones were her screaming about how I betrayed her and ruined her life. The last one was her crying and begging me to call CPS back and tell them she's actually a good mother who just had one bad weekend. My parents called from Arizona, where they retired a couple years ago, really angry with me. My dad was yelling about how we don't involve strangers in family business, and my mom kept saying I've always been jealous of the attention Vanessa gets. I haven't answered any of their calls. I don't know what to say. Part of me knows I did the right thing for Mia, but another part feels horrible for potentially destroying my sister's life over what might just be a rough patch she's going through. Maybe I should have tried harder to help her instead of calling authorities. The fact that she's panicking so much makes me wonder if she'll actually change her behavior now. I don't know what happens next. Do I stand by my report, or should I call CPS back and say I exaggerated? Not that I did, but to help Vanessa. I'm ignoring everyone's calls right now while I try to figure out what to do. Edit. To those asking if I've heard from Mia since everything happened, no. I haven't been able to talk to her. Vanessa's not answering my calls now, and I'm worried she's not letting Mia use the phone to contact me. Someone asked why I didn't just keep Mia when Vanessa came to pick her up. I honestly didn't think I had the legal right to just not give her back, and I was afraid that would make things worse. Also, Vanessa is physically stronger than me. She's always been the athletic one, and I wasn't sure what would happen if I tried to stop her. To clarify something from my last post, my parents and Vanessa don't know I've been keeping notes about all this stuff. I started doing it after the 3rd time Mia showed up, not having eaten in 24+ hours. I wasn't planning to use it for anything. I think I just needed to convince myself I wasn't overreacting. A lot of you are asking about the important meeting Vanessa claimed to have at 8:30 p.m. on a Friday night. Yeah, I'm not stupid. I'm pretty sure it wasn't job-related. But she's always been vague about where she goes when she dumps Mia with me. One time she said she was networking, but came back at 2 a.m. smelling like a bar. For those suggesting Vanessa might be using drugs, I honestly don't know. She partied a lot in her early 20s before she got pregnant with Mia, but she supposedly cleaned up after that. My mom always dismissed it as just a party girl phase, but sometimes I wonder. Now for the second update. So I know it's been a while since my last post. Things have been absolutely insane these past 2 weeks, and I've barely had time to breathe, let alone update strangers on the internet. But so many people were asking for an update, and honestly, I kind of need to get this all out of my head somewhere. So after I posted last time, I finally worked up the courage to answer one of Vanessa's calls. I was literally shaking when I hit the accept button. She started sobbing about ruining her life and betraying her. Then she begged me to call CPS back and tell them I made everything up. Then she switched to threatening me that I'd regret this, and she'd make sure our whole family knew what I'd done. It was exhausting and went on for like 45 minutes. I mostly just let her talk herself out. At one point, she actually admitted something I didn't expect. She said she'd started using cocaine again, but just occasionally over the past few months. She insisted it was no big deal, and she never did it around Mia, which I know is complete BS. Hearing her admit to drug use actually made me feel both validated and sick at the same time. I guess I should mention that Vanessa struggled with drugs pretty badly in her early 20s before she got pregnant with Mia. My parents always minimized it as just her party girl phase and would get angry with me whenever I brought it up. I should have realized she was using again sooner. Looking back, there were so many signs. Anyway, 2 days after I called CPS, this caseworker named Miss Rodriguez contacted me. She's been amazing through this whole thing. She told me she did an initial visit to Vanessa's apartment, and it was so much worse than I ever imagined. The apartment was disgusting. Spoiled food everywhere, empty alcohol bottles, utilities about to be shut off, and evidence of drug use. Miss Rodriguez said there wasn't even proper food in the fridge for Mia. I feel so incredibly guilty now about how I'd been seeing warning signs for months, but somehow convinced myself it wasn't that bad. I I kept telling myself I was giving my sister the benefit of the doubt, but really I was just in denial. I didn't want to admit how serious it was because then I'd have to do something about it. I knew deep down something was really wrong, but I don't know. I failed Mia by not acting sooner. The situation got even more complicated when my parents suddenly flew in from Arizona like 4 days after my CPS report. They showed up at my apartment unannounced. They still have my spare key from when they helped me move in, and at first they were furious with me. My dad kept saying I was overreacting, and my mom was going on about how I was bringing strangers into family business. It was the same shit I've heard my whole life. But then something unexpected happened. They went with me to see Vanessa's apartment. Miss Rodriguez arranged it, and their attitudes completely changed. My mom gasped when she saw the place. My dad just went completely silent, which is what he does when he's really upset. Miss Rodriguez walked them through everything she'd found and the requirements for Vanessa moving forward. I never wanted to hurt my sister. I really didn't. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel a sense of vindication when my parents finally saw the truth I'd been telling them for years. It's like they've never believed me about anything when it comes to Vanessa. We had this big family meeting with CPS where Vanessa seemed weirdly calm the whole time. I actually thought maybe she was finally taking this seriously. Found out later from my mom that she'd taken a bunch of tranquilizers before the meeting. Great. CPS required Vanessa to take a drug test, which she failed spectacularly. Tested positive for cocaine, marijuana, and benzos. After that, things moved really fast. The court granted me temporary custody of Mia, while Vanessa has to complete a 60-day rehab program and parenting classes before they'll even consider returning Mia to her care. The worst part was when I had to go to Vanessa's apartment to get Mia's belongings. Miss Rodriguez waited in the car while I went up. I was super anxious the whole time. When Vanessa opened the door, she looked terrible, like she hadn't slept or showered in days. She immediately started crying. I tried to just focus on getting Mia's stuff and kept saying I was just there for Mia's school things and clothes. It was so awkward. Vanessa followed me around the apartment the whole time, switching between apologizing for messing up and blaming me for always wanting to take Mia from her. I just kept trying to stay focused on grabbing Mia's things. I remember Vanessa grabbed my arm at one point, like dug her nails in, while begging me to tell CPS I made everything up. I pulled away and said I couldn't lie about what I saw. Then out of nowhere, she got this weird look on her face and said she'd tell everyone about what really happened with Dad when we were kids. I completely froze because I had no idea what she was talking about. She smiled in this really cold way and said that two can play at the family secrets game. I just tried to finish packing Mia's stuff as fast as I could. My hands were literally shaking. When I was leaving, she blocked the door for a second before letting me go and whispered that this isn't over. I practically ran back to the car. I still have no clue what she meant about what happened with Dad. As far as I know, nothing weird ever happened. Our dad was strict with me, but never abusive or anything. I think she was just trying to scare me. At least I hope that's all it was. Anyway, suddenly becoming Mia's caretaker has been overwhelming. I've had to completely rearrange my work schedule. Thank God my boss has been understanding, set up counseling for Mia, and coordinate with her school. I found out she's really behind academically and has missed 27 days of school this year. Vanessa always told everyone Mia was doing great in school. The most heartbreaking moment came 3 nights ago. Mia and I were getting her ready for bed when she suddenly asked in this really quiet voice if she could call my apartment home. I literally had to go to the bathroom and cry for like 5 minutes before I could answer her. It made me feel like I definitely did the right thing by calling CPS, but it broke my heart that an 8-year-old kid never felt like she had a stable home before. My relationship with my parents has changed too. They're calling daily now to check on Mia. My dad actually cried on the phone the other day. I've literally never seen/heard him cry before, when he apologized for not believing me when I tried to tell them how bad things were. They've expressed a lot of guilt about enabling Vanessa for so many years. I think they're finally seeing the patterns that I've been pointing out forever. Oh, and here's another unexpected development. CPS contacted Mia's biological father as part of their investigation. His name is Jason, and he's literally never been involved in her life. Apparently, he's expressed interest in meeting Mia and possibly being part of her life now. I have so much anxiety about this. What if he's just as bad as Vanessa? What if he's great and wants custody? I don't know which scenario scares me more. Vanessa is now in a 60-day rehab program. I'm trying to be hopeful about her recovery, but I'm also terrified of Mia potentially going back to her care too soon. The caseworker says reunification is always the goal in these situations, but they won't send Mia back unless Vanessa can prove she's stable and clean. I have such complicated feelings about this. I want my sister to get better, I really do, but I'm also scared she'll just fake her way through the program to get Mia back. I keep thinking about all the family dynamics that led us here. How my parents always favored Vanessa, how I was always expected to be the responsible one, how I've spent my whole life cleaning up her messes. And while part of me feels justified in what I did to protect Mia, I'm also haunted by Vanessa's threat about family secrets. I don't know if my sister and I will ever repair our relationship after this, but for the first time in my life, I'm putting my own boundaries and Mia's well-being above my sister's demands and my parents' expectations. It just sucks that it had to come to this point. Anyway, sorry for the super long update. My life has been turned completely upside down these past 2 weeks, and I'm still trying to figure out how to be a parent to an 8-year-old overnight. At least Mia seems to be doing better already. She's sleeping through the night now and actually eating regular meals. Her rash cleared up too. Edit: a lot of people are asking about Mia's therapy situation. Yes, she started seeing a child therapist who specializes in family trauma. We've only had 2 sessions so far, but the therapist seems really great. Mia actually said she likes talking to her, which is a good sign, I think. Edit 2. To those suggesting I get a lawyer, yes, I'm already on it. I have a consultation scheduled next week with someone who specializes in family law. I want to make sure I'm doing everything by the book. Edit 3. Several people asked about the family secrets comment from Vanessa. Honestly, I think she was just trying to manipulate me like she always does. Our dad was strict, but never abusive or inappropriate. Vanessa has always made up stories when she's cornered. It's like her defense mechanism. But yeah, it definitely freaked me out in the moment. Edit 4. Thank you to everyone who said I'm doing the right thing. I've spent basically my whole life doubting myself whenever I stand up to Vanessa because my parents always took her side. Having strangers validate that I'm not crazy or overreacting means more than you know. Edit 5. To answer the questions about my work situation, I'm a physical therapist at a rehab center. My supervisor has been amazing and let me adjust my schedule so I can get Mia to and from school. I'm working more weekend hours now to make up for leaving early on weekdays. It's exhausting, but worth it.